What's up? What's up? What's up, Facebook fam? It is Tuesday, and you know what goes down here on Tuesday. White chat goes down here on Tuesday. So do me a favor. You know what to do. Start hitting the share button. Start telling all my one sexy wives that wife chat is going down here on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you're hitting the share button, letting some other sexy wives know that wife chat is going down on here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It is Tuesday, and you know what happens on Tuesday. I get so excited because I get a chance to come and hang out with you guys. So make sure that you're hitting the share button. Make sure that you're inviting people on here, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited about the topic that we have going on today. And again, thank you guys so much. It has been an amazing week. Past week for me. Thank you guys so much for getting on. Make sure that you're hitting the share button, letting all the one sexy wives know that wife chat is going down here on Facebook. Tonight I have an amazing topic that came to me from a wife all the way in Tacoma, Washington. So thank you so much for sending in this topic. And basically, she really wanted to know some insight. She wanted to know what can she do to really not be a nag to her husband, but be a support to her husband. And so I gave her some tools and some strategy, and hopefully these tools and strategies will help you as well. And we're going to just talk about some things that I know have worked in the past. And men are a lot like us; they just receive information differently, and they keep a lot of things to themselves. And so tonight we're going to really talk about how, some things that your husband really needs for you, what he needs from you. And again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Shirley, for joining me. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. I truly appreciate you guys. I really do. And again, I'm super excited about coming here every single Tuesday. And if you guys have missed any of my wife chat, make sure you visit my YouTube channel, just my name, Gail Crowder, and all of my wife chats and all of my wife master classes are listed there. So please go visit my YouTube channel. Like I said, I'm super excited. I had asked you guys to please post your graduation pictures of yourself or your children graduating. I want to celebrate you guys. As you guys know, my baby boy Joshua Crowder walked across the stage on Thursday. I felt like I walked with him. I was super excited. I have family and friends, and I just, it's just been an amazing week. The couple of weeks before then I was sick, but I came back, and I thank you guys so much for your prayers and everything like that. And like I said, please hit the share button. Please let all my one sexy wife know that White Chat is going down here. And like I said, I'm so excited to be on here. And so tonight, again, this topic comes from a wife all the way in Tacoma, Washington, and I had the pleasure of speaking with her. And so I'm just going to give you guys some 9 things that men really need from you guys. And you probably already know them. And I get the pleasure of talking to men from around the world, and they're simple, but they're complex. And a lot of times, especially if you're a big mouth wife like I am, sometimes they get to a point where they quit listening because we have done too much talking. They feel like they're not being validated and all those kind of things. And I know that Gil, when I used to talk to him, he used to look like a deer in the headlight, and it used to make me mad. And I'm like, are you hearing what I'm saying? And all these different kind of things. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for joining me. And so tonight I'm going to give you some 9 things that men really need from you guys, or really need to hear from you, right? And they could be so simple, but we get so busy. We have so many things on our plate. Sometimes we forget. Sometimes we just don't feel like it, and sometimes we think they don't deserve to hear it. I'm just being honest. And so, but you need to do that, because again, I believe in sowing for every single thing that I want. And when I wanted Gil to give me words of affirmation and tell me that I was beautiful and tell me that I can do anything, I had to start doing that for him, because again, I was that wife that shut my husband down. I was that wife that used to say he was stupid and all kind of crazy stuff. And so I had to rebuild that trust and that relationship and that communication. And even though they don't say it, they still need to hear positive things from you, even if your marriage is not on a good footing at this point in time. You be the one that sows good into your marriage, and I guarantee you, you will reap. Okay. So the first thing he needs to hear is that you need him, right? That he is valuable to you and that you need him in your life, right? And so many times we as women, especially if you're like me, I'm a boss, right? And so Gil got to the point where he felt like I didn't need him, because for real, when I met him at age 21, I had my own house, my own car. I was making my own money. I was making 3 times as much money as. So I went into my marriage as a boss because I come from a whole line of bosses, right? And then it got to the point where I was like, basically I could get sex anywhere. So like for real, like I can do this on my own, right? And I literally had killed my husband's manhood. I literally had stole that from him with just being who I was raised to be, an independent woman, right? And y'all probably heard that song, but it's the independent woman where you don't need a man, right? But if you are married and in this covenant, right, they need to know that they're needed, right? Even if he's not rising to the occasion, even if he doesn't make more money than you, even if he doesn't whatever, you need to make your husband feel like he's needed and wanted in the relationship, right? Because for one, I'm telling you, you don't want to be by yourself. Now, let me put a precursor to this. You don't want to be by yourself, but I don't want you in a relationship where you're being abused either, okay? Because you're worth more than that. But if your husband doesn't make as much money as you, and he, doesn't have the job or the title that you have, he still needs to know that he's appreciated and he's the man and he's the head of the household, okay? The second thing is, he needs to know that he is still appealing and sexy to you, right? We all have shifted in some form of fashion, right? When I say shifted, we could have gained weight, lost weight. We could have, he could have gained weight, lost weight. He ain't as buffed, you ain't as tight, or whatever it is. But he still needs to know that he's appealing to you. Just like you need to hear that from him. If he's not telling you that, you sow that back into your husband, and you sow that back into your marriage. And if he's not as sexy and as buff as he was when you married him, then that's an opportunity for you guys to start working out together. Okay? So just look at it like that. That's an opportunity for you guys to spend time together. And it's an opportunity for you to start changing the way you cooking, right? To get him more healthy, to get him back to a state where he's sexually and physically appealing to you. But he needs to hear that, as well as we need to hear it, right? And a lot of times we as wives, we just focus on what we're not getting out of the relationship. Because I was that chick, right? I'm like, he ain't telling me I'm pretty. I ain't telling him he cute either, right? But it has to be a breaking point. And so for me, I was like, give you the most handsome man in the world or whatever. And so now I get that back, because again, I was the one who tore up the relationship. So I had to be the one to work to get it back. And I'm not saying that's your story. I'm not saying that's your case. But what I'm saying is, I believe, and I am a strong believer, and it works. You sow for what you want. You do it in every area of your life, right? At work, if you want a promotion, you sow your time, you sow your education, you sow being on different committees, you sow, being visible in order to get what you need. You need to do that in your own covenant and in your own marriage, okay? The next thing, he needs to know that it's okay for him to hang out with his friends. So many of us get in our marriages, and we want our husbands not to hang out with their boys anymore, right? And that right there, they need that time. Just like we need girl time, he needs boy time. Now I'm gonna get some emails saying, you don't know my husband's friends. They single, or they cheat on their wives, or they hang out at the strip clubs, or whatever that is. when you was dating him, he had them same boys that he used to hang out with them boys, and it was okay with you, right? You don't ever want to be that wife where they be, basically, I guess picking on your husband, and that's a wrong word, but making him feel that just because he got married to you, that he's not one of the boys, or you done took his masculinity away from him or whatever. It is good, it is healthy for him to hang out with his boys. Now let me just tell you this: if your marriage is in a good space, it's on solid ground or whatever, and his boys respect you as his wife, if he get ready to do something crazy, they're gonna snatch him back. They're not gonna encourage that. You see what I'm saying? And it was such a pleasure. My husband has a couple, just a handful of really good friends. And one of them, flew all the way from California, and they just hung out. And, I didn't even call Gil to find out where they were, right? Because I know he's a good guy, right? And at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't care for him. But I had to realize that was my husband's friend. That was their relationship, right? And I didn't want to be a hindrance in that relationship. So him and I established a good relationship. So now I feel comfortable with him going out with my husband. And they hung out all day. I did some shopping. Me and his wife did some shopping, and they hung out. And it was a great. And my husband felt good because he got a chance to hang out with his boy, right? And so they need that. And so don't hinder your husband from doing that, right? If you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you are praying for your husband, if because you can pray bad friends out of their life. Trust and believe me, you can, because I've done that too. So just don't be threatened by somebody else, right? Don't be threatened by one of his friends. And if he's in an unhealthy relationship, pray them jokers away. Don't talk them away. Don't become a crazy nagging wife and make your husband want to go with them, but pray them away. Okay? The next thing is he needs to know he's a good provider, right? And everybody's household dynamic is totally different. There is some men that go to work every single day and will never make as much as you do. But if he makes 3 and you make 5, together you have 8. And don't harbor on he only makes 3. Because if he brings his money home and he manages what he makes, and you guys are doing what you need to do to cover your bills, allow him to be the head of the household and allow him to know he is a good provider. Because there are some women that are dealing with men that don't go nowhere. They sit at home all day and do absolutely nothing. And they're not contributing to the household. And then there are some men that the wife and the husband have sat down and say, okay, I make more money. I have better insurance on my job. So therefore, I want you to be the house husband. And that if that dynamic works for you and he's holding it down, he's making sure the babies get off, he makes sure that the house is clean, that's an agreement you made in your household. But you also need to put yourself in his position and let him know he's doing a good job. Because sometimes the reverse is there, where the woman is at home and she's feeling like she's not being appreciated. She feels like she's not contributing. And let me just tell you, being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, I'm telling you, it is hard, because it's a job you never leave. At least if you leave the house, at 5, 6, whatever time you get off, you can walk away from that joker. If you at home, I longed when my kids was little. I was home with at least both of them at least 2 years. Joshua 2.5. I was like, Lord, let me go find somewhere to go. But that was just me, because I was very career oriented. So however your dynamic is working in your household, your husband needs to hear from you that he's a good provider. Now, I'm not talking about these husbands that ain't doing absolutely nothing. And if they're doing absolutely nothing, you need to look at the dynamic and say, how do we get to this point? And how do I motivate him to do something? Okay. The next thing is he needs for you to use your words. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times we as women think they know what you need, want, desire just by your actions. And they need to hear your needs, wants, and desires from your own mouth. They don't need to hear rambling. They don't need to hear a whole dissertation. They need to know exactly what you need them to do, how you want them to do it, and when you want them to do it. Because remember, they communicate and process information totally different from us. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I'll use this as an example. I could be on the phone with one of you guys. I could be cooking. I could be talking to you. I can give instructions to my children, and I could also be doing something else. And you would clock literally along the way with me. I could tell Gail, I need you to go to the store and get me 3 items. I put up 4 items. And he gonna call me and ask me again to make sure that he got them. And then he gonna ask me to send a picture to make sure he got the right one, right? Because they process information all, totally different. Let me say this precursor. My husband is one of the most brilliant men that I know. I'm talking about smart as a tack, but he processes information totally different from me. You could tell me, Gail, go to the store, get this. On the way there, I could talk to 4 different people, and I'm not going to call you and ask you which one to get. They just built different, and they process information, and they like checklists. They like to check things off. I got that, and checked off. So I always send him a text message with everything that I need, with pictures if I can provide it. So that way I won't have to get the phone call. But then he will still call back and say, are you sure that's all you need? Because I don't want to come back here. Right? And so it's just how they process information. So if you're thinking that he should know it, if you're thinking that he should say it, like you look beautiful in your new dress, or where did you get those shoes? In your mind, you thinking he should know this. In his mind, you need to say, you like my new shoes. Right? Okay. So whatever it is, make sure that you communicate it, because they can't read your mind. They can't read your body language. They just know you mad, upset because he didn't tell you that he noticed your new dress. That's not how they're built. Some men are, but most men are not. So when I leave out my thing and I know I'm looking good, I will walk by Gil and I say, don't I look good? And he'll say, absolutely. And he's trying to grab my hand. I'm on my way out the door, boo-boo. Yes. Okay. The next thing is that he needs to know that you value his opinion. And sometimes this is hard, especially if they have done and said stupid stuff in the past. Or if he's made huge mistakes, you feel his opinion is not needed or validated, right? But he needs to know that his opinion counts. Remember, regardless of what your dynamic is, in the word of God, he is still the head of your household, right? And he is the head, but you are the neck. So just know you can't turn the head without the neck. And that's how I look at it when I say, okay, oh God, we're going down this path again, and I need to see what Gilbert thinks about this, right? And I'll go to him and I'll say, what do you think about this? And they think totally different from us for the most part, right? And I will tell you, when I started including Gil in a lot of my business decisions and stuff like that, he gave me a whole new perspective. He gave me a whole new way of thinking, because we as women are very emotional and we operate a lot with our hearts and not enough with our heads. And so men are very, very strategic, and they can see beyond our emotions, right? So it is really good to get their perspective, especially when you have a larger decision to make, okay? The next thing is he needs a sex and affection on a regular basis. Now, I know people are going to say, Gail, you don't know my situation. My husband has erectile dysfunction. I have endometriosis. You know, he cheated on me. I can't get past that. I understand all of those dynamics, right? And if you're dealing with any health issues, I always say have an open, honest discussion where you are. And I will also tell you, after I went to school for over 2 years to get my degree as a master sex expert, I will tell you this. A lot of the things, this discomforts and things that you or your husband could be dealing with sexually, they are fixable. There's devices out there. There's all different kind of things. And that's the reason why I wrote the 2 books. One, Keep Your Legs Open. And the second one was Praying for the Penis, because I understand that so many couples are struggling in this area, right? But there is hope and there is help for you, right? You just have to seek information. But when it comes to intimacy, intimacy has absolutely nothing to do with penetration when it comes to sex. It has everything to do with allowing your spouse in your personal space. It is all about letting down your walls and learning to enjoy each other from the inside out. And so many couples think that if everything has to do with sex, it has to do with intimacy. And I believe if you allow yourself to have amazing intimacy, you will have amazing sex. And you have seen people that are married 60 years or so, right? And I'm not saying they're not having sex. Some of them still are. But when they look at each other, you just see that connection. You see that bond. And that is intimacy, has nothing to do with sex. And that is really my mission, along with eradicating divorce, is that people experience a bond so tight that they can get past anything. Not abuse, but they can get past absolutely anything in their marriage, right? And not be so quick to throw in the towel. So when Gil and I, when he left me and I did the work that I needed to do, it got counseling and all kind of different things. When I came back into my marriage and he, came back, after he realized that I had went a tick past being normal and not crazy anymore, right? I really worked on the intimate part of my marriage, right? Allowing Gil to understand where the hurt came from, allowing Gil to help me in those areas, allowing myself to be vulnerable, because I never grew up to be vulnerable. I was always grown up to be tough, to handle my business, take care of Gail, that kind of thing. And so I had to learn to work on that, right? And I still work on that, right? Because when it's embedded in you that you can do anything. You don't need a man to do anything. You can accomplish anything. That's a hard place to become vulnerable. And especially when you have been hurt, right? Gil has hurt me in my marriage as well. And I sure didn't hurt him, right? So how do we get to a point where we're vulnerable and it's not thrown up in our face? I don't throw up what he did to me and vice versa. How do you get to that place? That takes daily working at, right? But they also need to know that they can come and lay their head in their lap. And if they want to cry as a man, you're not going to be like, suck it up, because they get told that all the time. Real men don't cry. Yes, they do. They just are not comfortable crying in front of you. It took my husband over 20 years to cry in front of me, because I had created such a void. I had created where like I ain't got the time for you to be crying. You know what I mean? I need you to do X, Y, and Z, right? But when I allowed Gil to just be vulnerable and I was vulnerable, I see my husband cry for the very first time in 20 years. That is crazy. And it was because I had created that. But I want to be able to look at my husband and my husband to look at me, and people around us see such a bond, an unbreakable bond. And that takes work. And your husband needs that from you. He needs to know that if he lays his head in your lap, that he can be vulnerable and he's not going to have to hear about it later, because the world, let me just tell you, the world beats him up every single day. They're faced with so much, and they carry so much weight. Not that we don't, as wives and as women, we carry a lot of weight, right? But I really believe that once we surrender and we get our households in the order that God ordained it, when I decided that I wasn't gonna be trying to be the one, the wife, the mother, and the head of the household all in one person, and I surrendered that to God, not to Gail, but to God, right? Because it's easier for me to surrender to God than Gail, right? Because I got to deal with Gail on a daily basis. And when I quit looking at him and I started looking at God, and I said, God, you fix it, and I got myself in order. I didn't lose Gail, but I got myself in order. I will tell you, the dynamics in my household changed because I learned to rest that God was going to take care of me. Not Gail, but God. And that's sometimes a hard place to be, especially if your spouse made bad decisions, especially if he done some crazy stuff. All of those different, I get it. Trust and believe me. But when you quit trying to be the wife and the husband, and you just surrender, and you surrender under God, and you say, God, you created him, you fix him, you make him make a wise decision. And I start putting my mouth on Gil, saying, God, that he makes wise decisions concerning me and our household. He don't go blow money and do crazy stuff. Well, I was doing all that, I'm being honest, but I'm just saying he made wise decisions concerning our household, right? It literally changed because I quit trying to do it all and be it all, and I was just able to be me, right? And so again, I pray that these things that I had just shared with you have been helpful to you, that it's giving you something to think about. And again, I thank you guys so much for getting here on Wife Chat. And let me get on these readers if I can find them. Y'all know I'm tired. Y'all, I'm looking all in my purse. I can't find my readers, so I can't see y'all comments. I don't know what I'm doing. Here they go. All right. Good evening, Gail. Monique. Hi, Monique. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Love this. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. I love these. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Lisa, how are you? My girl Lisa wrote a book called, Lisa, put your book in there. The Power of Shut Up or Be Quiet or something. Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. If you're looking for any of my books, you can find them on Amazon. Keep Your Legs Open and Praying for the Penis, Bring Your Sexy Back to Marriage. All my books are on Amazon. If you just type in my name, it'll come up. Lisa wrote a book called The Power of Shut Up, and it's a book about really, once she learned to close her mouth, how God stepped in and really changed her marriage. And you can find her books also on Amazon as well. And I pushed that book because when she came to me, she was that big mouth wife just like me, and she was killing her marriage, and I told her to shut up, and she didn't like it, but it literally changed her marriage. And so it's an amazing, amazing book. But again, if you guys want me to talk about anything, when I say anything on Wife Chat, I won't give your name, but I will ask that you tell me what state you're from so I could give you a shout out. Please start sending me some more topics. I'm running out of topics, but you know I can come on here every Tuesday and talk about something else. So I need you guys to send me some topics that you want me to cover. I will talk about absolutely anything on here. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid for y'all to send me something crazy, and I'll talk about it, and then I have to deal with it later. So I'm excited about that. So just know that every Tuesday I'm on here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thank you guys so much for joining me. Please post your graduation pictures. I want to celebrate you. Please post your anniversaries. I want to celebrate you. Please be looking out. I'm going to be holding some live events in the DMV area called the G Spot Lounge. I'm excited about that. So I have my team working on that. I know you guys are going to come support. It's going to be called the G Spot Lounge, and it's going to be all things sexy. So I'm excited about that. I got some amazing things coming up. So just stay tuned. stay, go click, go to the website. I still offer my 30-minute free consultations. You guys haven't been taking me up on that. I don't know. I guess all your marriages is good, so I'm happy with that. And again, I love you guys to pieces. Have an amazing, amazing night. I will see you guys again. If you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. Please send me some topics so I can stay, relevant and give you guys the information that you want on Wife Chat. Good night. I love you guys to pieces.